This is going to get all people like all twisted up right now.
But if you ever send me an invoice for $185, you're fired.
When you charge more, you're saying, I believe I can do this better than everyone else.
There is a lot of information contained in your price.
You're in for a treat today. It's because we're talking to Blair Enns, the author of the Win Without Pitching Manifesto. Just going to read straight from the book. As our expertise deepens and our impact on our clients' business grows, we will increase our pricing to reflect that impact. We have to know this, that our clients see the smallest invoices as the most annoying. Blair, we're gonna have to talk about that. Through charging more, we will create more time to think and therefore eliminate the need to invoice for changes and other surprises. This is gonna get all people like all twisted up right now. So you're saying don't have change orders? And the way to solve that is to charge more, and that the more value we deliver, the more we should charge. Blair, take it away.
Yeah, so the reasons you get hired are different than the reasons you get fired. You don't get hired for good service, and David Baker taught me that one. You get fired for bad service. And it's kind of similar in pricing. The client will beat you up hard in a negotiation and try to get you to try to hire you as cheaply as possible. And often the way you're able to deliver at this price, somewhat painfully, is to just make sure you watch the job with an eagle eye and you don't go over on time. And then something happens and it's like, I've got to spend more time on this than anticipated. So you start to build up resentment towards the client. And then at some point you steel yourself and say, all right, hey, we've gone over on this because of these last few things. They weren't really in the initial brief. I'm going to have to send you a change order, send you another bill. That drives clients crazy. What's the alternative to that? The alternative is to charge more up front and then not worry about the little things. I'll tell you a story about one of my earliest clients, independent ad agency, I guess marketing communication firm, not quite an ad agency. I forget what they call themselves, but this is 2003 and I'm a consultant back then when Without Pitching wasn't a training company yet. And I'm looking at their client roster by profitability. And right at the very top, and I forget what the numbers were, but just far more profitable than anybody else, was a bank, an independent bank. And I said to the agency owner, tell me about this client. And she said, oh, interesting. This guy's interesting. He said to me when he hired us, I'm never going to question your invoices. But if you ever send me an invoice for $185, you're fired. And that has always stuck with me. Right? So the client needs to appreciate this too. So some clients are, we'll just say they're cheap, but I guess the professional parlance is they are price buyers. So it's very important to them to get a low price. And so they will beat you up on price. And this happens with professional buyers too, procurement. And then something happens that's unanticipated, unplanned for, out of scope, and unplanned for by both parties even, right? Oh, nobody considered this. We have to, the firm, the agency, the creative is going to have to put some more time in on this. And then you're thinking, well, this wasn't part of the job. And the client's thinking, well, yeah, but it's kind of part of the job. It's in that gray area in between. That's where the resentment really builds up between the parties on both sides. And again, you avoid that by simply charging more and making those annoying little things for which you commonly lose the account, making them go away.
Now you have two ideas in here that I think are going to mess up some people. You say in the book, I'm on page 122, in boldly charging more than our competitors, we advertise to our prospective clients that we have confidence in our ability to deliver high quality outcomes. Does everybody understand that? When you charge more, you're saying, I believe I can do this better than everyone else, or to a degree.
So just to recap, yes. You're saying that in the book, I'm saying that when you charge more, What? What does it say in the book
yes,
that I wrote?
Because, it's the internet. We all have some issues here.
Yep.
So when you charge more than your competitors, you're essentially advertising to your prospective client, we create higher quality outcomes. Companies that charge more companies that charge more generally do better work. Now, here's the other part of this. I'll just leave it there, but I want to get to the whole, like, if you're not charging enough or you're not losing enough on jobs, why don't we just leave it there, and have you expand on that first?
Yeah. So again, another David Bakerism, a line I've stolen from him is pricing is positioning. And the way an economist would say it is, economists use this term signaling. There's so much signaling in a price. Like we don't, if you haven't studied economics at a rudimentary level, you don't really appreciate that the entire market-based system functions effectively on one carrier of signals, and it is prices. As soon as I heard somebody say, I forget who, maybe it was Russ Roberts, the economist, he was saying, and most economists are libertarians. They want government to stay out of the way and just have full free markets. So his point was, you can tax something and you'll kind of impair some of the signals in the marketplace, but the market still works. You can regulate something and you have some sort of negative effect on the signaling, but it still works. You can incentivize something through like tax incentives, and you're going to throw some noise into the market, but the market still works. As soon as you fix prices, as soon as the government says, no, you have to charge X, no price gouging in the time of a hurricane, etc., as an example, as soon as you fix prices, you destroy all the signaling in the marketplace and supply cannot meet demand. So there is a lot of information contained in your price, information about your confidence, about how you are in demand, and also about the amount of supply that you have. What do you do when you're busy, but these opportunities keep coming to you? Well, man, if you don't raise your price, then you're not going to be able to handle this. The way you send the message to the marketplace to slow down a little bit is to raise your price. So there's so much information communicated in your price. So you discount or start out at a low price, there's an immediate reaction. Back in my agency days, I worked for one of the largest ad agencies, and it was in pre-2000, and we were convincing a Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company. It was time to have develop a new thing called a website. And so we worked for this big agency, and there was another vendor who also sold to another marketing firm who also sold to this client who wasn't in the family of this big network agency. And they had proposed a website for $20,000. And the client said, yeah, we're not going to do that. And then we came along a few weeks later and proposed a website for $200,000, and they bought it. The idea was like, $20,000 is not like, what are we going to get for $20,000? Can we even get the attention of senior people for $20,000? $200,000. Okay, now you people must know what you're doing, and you're going to get the attention of senior people. So there's so much information carried in your price.
Fantastic. Now I want to move to the next big point in the book here. He says, if we're not losing business on price occasionally, then we are not charging enough. If we need to win on price, then we're not setting ourselves apart as experts. And basically, we're becoming a commodity. Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah. So in the first proclamation, we talk about one of the ultimate tests of your positioning is your ability to command two things simultaneously. Number one, a sales advantage. So you're in a competitive situation and so competing against other firms, and more often than not, you win. So that's what I mean by sales advantage. You're really good at winning business. And number two, simultaneously, a price premium. You win while charging more. If you can't win while charging more, then that's a sign that the market does not see you as meaningfully different, and you have more work to do on that positioning front. So every time you sell at a premium, that is a signal back to you, a validation of the work that you have done to position the firm and build your reputation in the marketplace. And I'll further add, you might be getting to this, but by charging more, you think you've got to do better work to charge more. It's, once again, this is probably the third or fourth time I've just wanted to reorient or reorder concepts in people's minds. No. You charge more. You have more. Now you have more money. You have more time. You have more resources to do a better job. So by charging more, you're going to do a better job. And I think you're probably getting to this point too, but you're also going to deliver better service.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to get right into it because some people will think, especially people who are very good at a craft or skill, to say, I charge an honest price, I do an honest day's work, and that's fair. Everything else is just being a greedy capitalist. And so you make some arguments about what happens with the extra money that you make by charging more. What can you do with that money, Blair?
Yeah, well, if you're listening to this and you've been in the position where you've been fortunate to raise your prices significantly and you make more money, what do you do with that money? Well, some of it you take home and it goes to feed your family and other things. And that's fantastic. And some of it goes to paying your people more money. I like to think that we pay our people more, and I'd like to pay them a lot more. So I want to make a lot more money because I want the people who work for me to get rich, right? And we don't make money, and you don't make money, and most of the listeners here, we don't make money by taking it from other people. This idea that money is zero sum. If I have $1, then that means somebody else has $1 less. That's not the way wealth is created in the world. You should view, and I'd like to attribute this, and I forget who I heard it from. You should view these dollar bills or whatever your currencies are, Bitcoins, as certificates of appreciation for creating value in the world. And it's I write about this in my most recent book, Pricing Creativity, and the last chapter saying the final, I think it's called The Final Hurdle is You, or The Final Obstacle is You. This idea of capitalism being unseemly, and yeah, there are things that are broken about capitalism and that need to be fixed. I won't go into the details there, but the idea that it being unseemly, that business is zero sum, that if I have $1, somebody else has less, and that I should be happy with getting my needs met, and it's not appropriate to want. These ideas are all wrong, and they're self-destructive, and they're a signifier of an unhealthy relationship with money. And I think most people have an unhealthy relationship with money. Some people are greedy, but I meet far more people who aren't greedy, who actually have a negative, who feel guilty about earning money and think that, okay, well, here's the line here, we're anything more than this. And you know that idea of there's a line that you shouldn't cross, you see it in the jobs for your clients. You'll think, oh, charging more would be unethical. You see it in the total sales volume and profit margin of your business if you think this way. But if you're in the business of value creating value for your clients, the way it should work, especially when you get to really big numbers that'll blow your mind from where you are now, numbers that you can't even try on. You can get there. And when you get there, it requires this mind shift of like you selling time and taking dollars away from people in exchange for your time, to you helping to create enormous amounts of economic and personal value in the world, and you reaping some of that value in the form of compensation as your share for helping to create that value. That's how it works. That's how you should think about it. And until you're able to think about it that way, you will always be in your own way.
Here's the thing, though. People keep thinking about this, though, because they seem to be hell-bent on convincing themselves they need to charge less to get the work. So you say here in the book, page 125, the characteristic of a commodity is an inability to support any price premium. If we cannot win while charging more, and that's key, you got to win the job while being the highest price, or at least more than everyone, or more than most everyone, then we must face the reality that we are selling a commodity and we're undifferentiated in the marketplace. That hurts, Blair. Why would you talk to me like that?
Yeah, I'll phrase it even harsher.
Oh my gosh. Let me get the diaper.
The world doesn't really need what you do. You can't win while charging more. The world does. If you disappeared, nobody would notice. The market would not suffer one iota. I like to think, and maybe because I'm full of myself, that if I disappeared, if Win Without Pitching disappeared, the market would notice. I'm pretty sure if the future disappeared, the market would notice, right? But if you're running a Me Too business, same as everybody else, and you're 10 years in and you can't command a price premium as proof of how meaningfully different you are, and it's proof of the value you're creating in the world, and it's like, you're not going to go to hell. You shouldn't feel too bad about it. I am trying to provoke you to make some brave business decisions, because I think at the end of the day, at the end of our career, we want to look back and feel like we made a difference. And here's another David Bakerism. At the end of your career, your work isn't going to be remembered. Your impact on people is going to be remembered. And he further says, and primarily your employees. So if you want a legacy, your legacy is going to be how you treated your team members. Some clients are going to remember you and remember you fondly. The work, not so much. And obviously there are some exceptions to that, like just the very best creative work out there stands the test of time. But what percentage is that? So I think it's, I don't apologize for the provocation. I think, at the end of the day, if you can't get the market to say, hey, you're worth more for this, then it's a sign that, you might be earning a living. So you're kind of lower down in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. You're earning a living. But once you're earning a living, what we all really want to do is we want to transform others. And you think Simon Sinek has this idea of start with why. And I was I referenced Dan Sullivan and Strategic Coach a few times. I was in Strategic Coach. So once a quarter, get together with 40 other entrepreneurs. We do these exercises for a day. And one exercise was we all wrote out our why. Like, why do we do what we do? So 40 entrepreneurs go around the room and read out their why. And 39 of us had the same why we do what we do. One guy was about partying. The other 39, and then we had this really interesting conversation about it. So everybody's why, once you have the basic needs met, like food, clothing, shelter, somebody loves you. Once you have that met, your motivation in life and your career is to lift yourself through the transformation of others. It's to transform yourself by helping others. And I don't know why this is the case, but this is almost universal. And the only thing that changes is like how you want to change yourself, in what ways you change others, who you change, and the tools that you use. But we all seem to be on this journey. Like we get up in the morning at our highest calling is we want to lift ourselves by lifting others as opposed to standing on others. So we're all motivated by that. And at the end of your career, so you go to work in the morning and that's your motivation and you're all noble about this goal. And even the client has the same motivation, right? And the CEO of the client the client company has the same motivation. So you have all these people who are aligned. They all want to transform themselves by transforming others. And the others are different and et cetera. But essentially we're all kind of ideologically aligned. And then late in the day, you're sitting across the table from your client and you're both kind of beat down by the issues of the day. And so where the client wanted to do some transformational work, right now they're looking at a to-do list, and on that to-do list is to hire you to deliver X. And transformation is going to have to wait for another day. And You're looking at the bank account and thinking, okay, I just need to take the money. So you both make compromises. Fast forward a few years, fast forward to the end of your career, and what have you done? Have you lifted yourselves? Have you transformed others? You can't do any of that without a struggle. And the struggle is, in that moment, you stop and say, I'm not going to do this one for the money. I'm not going to do this one cheap. I'm not going to let the client get away with a pass on a strategic opportunity by framing this as a simple tactical challenge. I just need a video or whatever it is. They have a bigger opportunity. I am going to lean into this one, and I am going to try to channel my kind of why and tap into the client's why and push them to think bigger about what we might accomplish here and to fund it at a higher level. If you don't step up in those moments, you will never be the career professional that you want to be.
Okay. Hard transition here to the next big idea. Speaking of big ideas, I think this is a thread that you start in the Win Without Pitching manifesto and you close in pricing creativity. We kind of barely dip our toes into hourly based pricing, why that's not a good thing for you. When you talk about it here is that you must think in big round numbers that end in zeros. Why is that, Blair?
Because anytime your price implies a formula, you invite the client to use that formula to find a way to make the price cheaper. So I often do this test, and I think you're right. I think I write about it in Pricing Creativity. So let's say I give you a price that you have to go give to the client. It doesn't matter what the price is. I'll use a big number. Let's say you have to go get $5,000 from the client for this job. Like quote $5,000. So in the book it's $50,000. Yeah, let's go with 50. It's $50,000. So, but you have a little bit of leeway. The price in the estimate or in the proposal can be $50,000, or it can be $48,985. Which price would you rather deliver? And most people would rather deliver the lower price because A, it's lower, B, there might be some idea of a charm price, which just means a charm price is typically a price that ends in 9. It signifies that it's on sale. But most of the time, most of the reason why, or the most common reason why people want to deliver the lower price is it looks very specific. Whereas 50,000, it looks like you just pulled it out of your nether region. Did you just make that up? And you think the specific number is more defensible, but actually the bigger number is more defensible because you don't really defend it. So let's say I choose 50,000 and I say to you, the client, Chris, the price is $50,000. And you say, well, that's a round number. It sounds like you just made it up. Where did that come from? And my answer is, well, I could have a couple of answers. The ideal answer is, well, we're proposing to create multiples of that in value for you. Seems like 50,000 is fair. Or if you're not comfortable with tying this back to value creation, value-based pricing, you could say, that's what we charge companies like yours for work like this. And that begs a question. What do you mean companies like ours? If we were smaller, would you charge us less? And my answer is, yeah. And if you're bigger, I'd charge you more. Right? So that is tying it back to value with size as a proxy for value creation. So I find that's easier to defend. If I give you the price of $48,985, you're going to look at it and go, well, wait a minute. What's your hourly rate? That's a high rate, or it's not going to take you that long to do it, right? So now you have the formula. You can kind of wedge your little crowbar in there and try to find a way to make the price cheaper by beating me up on either my rate or on the duration, on hours. But that round number of $50,000, that's in a hermetically sealed box, and I think we even draw that in the book. It's like you can't crack that open. The specific number, to me, it's a Rubik's Cube. It's like, yeah, give me that. I'll make this cheaper. I'll solve this problem.
I like to spend time talking about this because there's different schools of thought, and I'm going to just try and weave in a story and how I change things afterwards. I used to think, and I didn't know it was called a charming number, but I thought that by having some weird number like 4,899.95 or whatever, 8995, that it looked like it was really precise. Like I actually really thought about what it's going to take to do this job. And it didn't really matter what it took. I just wanted a strange number because it felt precise, Blair. And there's a lot of people, actually I've read other books that say the exact opposite of you and say, put a precise number. I think Chris Voss does this in his book, Never Split the Difference. He's like, I like precise numbers because it implies you've thought it through. Obviously here we have two opposing ideas. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I've seen the arguments against it, and I think I've read Chris's book, and I'm trying to remember the details, but I remember reading it thinking, yeah, maybe, but the context is different here. You're negotiating with a hostage taker. I've never bought any of the arguments for specificity. I get the appeal of it, but I think the initial appeal is wrong because it opens you up to certain things. Now, let's flip this around. Let's say you're dealing with a known price buyer and you just want to close this deal no matter what. Sure, get specific. But if you want to, the sale is the sample. If you want to lead in the sale so you're able to lead in the engagement, if you want the client to recognize and value your expertise and be willing to pay you a price premium and not negotiate about round numbers versus specific numbers, put on your big boy or girl pants and put forward the big round number. You have this band in your mind of what acceptable pricing is, of what you think the market will bear and what your clients will pay you. And so I'll add some of my metaphor here. It's a prison. It's a prison cell of your own making. And you can learn to expand this prison cell walls. But I'll go back to Dan Sullivan. Here's the pattern, Natalia. You're stuck there today. And what's going to happen is you're going to think about this. You're going to talk about this. You're going to ask this question for a while. And then at some point in the future, you will find the courage to raise your price. You'll hold your breath. You'll put the price in front of the client and the client will buy it. And you'll think, oh, this is great. And that will become the new normal. Then you'll be stuck there and you'll do it all again. And this is the cycle that you will be in for the rest of your career. So accept that this is the cycle. Do yourself a favor and skip the next 4 rungs.
What a way to end day 11, Blair. I think that's a perfect way to end it.
Hey everyone, Ricky here. I'm one of the content directors here at The Futur. Thanks for watching today's video. And if you want to support us by bringing high quality education to everyone, consider buying a course from us. There you'll find courses to help improve your process with clients, manage your projects, and sharpen your design skills. Head to thefutur.com/courses to learn more. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.